What's up guys, Janet here, aka Gameonysus, and you are listening to Gameonysus Daily, your one-stop shop for video game news. It is Monday, May 22nd, and hopefully you guys are starting that week off strong. If you worked over the weekend, hopefully you are close to your weekend, or are starting your, not weekend, which is awesome. And if you were off, hopefully you're getting things to a good start. So, we're just going to jump straight to it with our news, our updates, all our information. So I'm going to actually do this in order of importance in the sense that there's a piece of information that all you Xbox One and PC fans need to know, or more specifically, owners of the game Ori and the Blind Forest. So if you bought this game before, when it came out in 2015, I bought it myself, I think last year. So if you bought this game, Microsoft is offering you a free upgrade to the definitive edition of the game. So act on that now. As of the moment I'm recording this, which granted won't be, that'll be a little off from when I upload it, but as soon as I'm done recording, I'm uploading this. So you literally have about probably a little bit over 2 hours, around 3 hours maybe, to act on this offer. So if you're listening to this right now and you have Ori and the Blind Forest and have not upgraded yet, go do that right now. So I'm going to tell you how to do that. So the way you guys can go about it is you want to click on, you want to head over to Microsoft.com. So I'm going to pull up the URL for you guys. Okay, so it'll be Microsoft.com, / you're going to the store basically, and you're kind of going as if you're going to buy Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition. So make sure you're logged into your Microsoft account. After that, you're going to go to the game Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition, and it'll say, if you already own it, it'll, have the price crossed off and say free. So then you click on that, you follow the instructions as they're provided to you, so that you can get a free upgrade to the Definitive Edition. For those of you who are unfamiliar, so Ori and the Blind Forest did release a Definitive Edition. This is the base game, but it also has, added DLC, which includes, I believe extra areas, kind of like an extra storyline to an extent. It's kind of an expansion on what they've already established in the first, original version of the game. Keep in mind you can also buy this game physically now. The Definitive Edition is a physical game you can buy, which is super cool. And I was planning on eventually buying it, but I am so excited to be able to get this game for free, the Definitive Edition version, because I really didn't want to have to pay for the DLC of it, and honestly, I probably was just going to buy the physical, so I would have dropped, an extra good chunk of money, at least $30 on a good day, 40 or 50 on a bad one, to get this game that I basically already own. So this is super cool to give an offer like this. I wish stuff like this happened more often, and hey, maybe it does, and I just didn't know about it before. So once again, you log into Microsoft, your account, you go to the game, you just download it. It's super easy. They walk you through the process. They even add in updating your settings so that your downloads go automatically, because I actually didn't have that set up. Now I do, so I'm glad I was able to do that. I'm literally just downloading it right now. It has already downloaded for me, ready to go. So yeah, it's going to give me a good reason to jump back into that game. It was one of my favorite platformers of recent platformers, Metroidvania style game, but it really gets it right. And yeah, it's just a really wonderful, enjoyable experience. I like the art style a lot. I enjoy that it does that thing where you kind of time slows down a bit when you're doing specific types of jumps, when you're doing kind of more launch-based jumps. And yeah, the platforming is just really tight-knit and really fun and can be really challenging. Getting out of that damn ginkgo tree was a mission. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. And if you've never bought Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition, freaking buy it. It's great. Wonderful game. Definitely a must-have if you have an Xbox One. And if you have a PC, you can get it on there as well. Alright, so I just wanted to throw that out there because that's really important, and I wanted anyone who is listening to this to be able to go do that if that's something that they can do. So go on and do that. Alright. Moving on, just kind of continuing on with our news, a teaser website just dropped for Miitopia, which is a 3DS exclusive that's coming out, set to release July 28th for, obviously, the 3DS exclusive, which is pretty cool that the 3DS is still getting exclusives. As a Switch owner and I kind of want those games just to be on my Switch, because the Switch has literally ruined me for the 3DS, pretty much. I love my 3DS. It is, I would say, my favorite handheld ever. Just like in feel and look and design, in game library, like, holy cow, I love that system. But it just doesn't, like, visually stand up as well to the Switch. Like, I'm trying to play Donkey Kong Country Returns on my DS, and it's fine, but, like, I know it can look a lot better, and I just wish it did, but it doesn't, and I'm like, ugh. So, that's kind of my feelings on 3DS exclusives, but it's good to see the system is still getting support. Even in a game like Miitopia, which is kind of goofy, it's, you know, in that vein of, like, quirky Nintendo, just for fun, why not, do it for the love side game type thing, but this definitely is more of a full-fledged game than I think previous releases of games of this genre have been. So the website breaks down some information on the game, along with, you know, screenshots, other things. So I'm just going to read through those bullet points that they have on the website. It's so kind of describing Miitopia. Embark on your own personalized journey. Guide a team of Mii characters on a quest to defeat the Dark Lord and restore the stolen faces of the people across the kingdom of Miitopia. Cast your Mii characters in various roles. Mii characters based on your favorite friends and people will mingle over food, camping, exercise, sleeping arrangements, and, yes, combat. And experience RPG battles with a twist. Your party's relationships affect the outcome in traditional turn-based battles. Enemies attack while you explore the world map, which is littered with hidden paths and treasures. So that's what Miitopia basically is. And, you know, just having listened to other people talk about the game, like, I don't know, it sounds alright. I'm not personally going to check it out, because I'm not really interested in those type of games, and with so many games I want to play in general, you know, that's just not going to make the cut for me. But as far as 3DS exclusives, like, I'm looking forward to Ever Oasis. That game looks super cute, and I think, even though I did make that comment earlier about the Switch having ruined the 3DS for me, I do think the 3DS can still really pull off, like, the even more so cartoony, cutesy-looking games, because those aren't as affected by the lower visual quality as other games, I think. Even a game like Donkey Kong, which is still, like, kind of cartoony, but it just doesn't have the same, like, lively color to it. But I think a game like Ever Oasis, which is kind of, like, I'm not really sure on the particular genre, but it's kind of cutesy looking, like, you go around, talk to other people in the village. I forgot what the, like, main gameplay component of that is, but look it up if you're not familiar. Ever Oasis. I feel like games like that can, you know, just handle that a little bit better. So, like, I have Animal Crossing New Leaf on my 3DS, which I haven't really gotten around to playing yet, and I'm definitely going to still play that. The only way I won't play that is if they come out with an Animal Crossing for the Switch, in which case I'm good with not doing a New Leaf and just jumping onto the new thing. But yeah, so that's coming up if you're interested in that. Speaking of the Nintendo, Eurogamer recently listed what seems to be the price for a Switch peripheral, which is the dock. So the dock is launching on the 23rd of June in the UK. I'm not sure what the US date for that, if it's the same or a little earlier or later. And the price is going to be $89.99, aka €70, for the extra dock. So just kind of a reminder on what that means. Oh, and it comes with an additional HDMI cable and plug. So, which the extra HDMI is kind of nice, even though at this point, like, I have a lot of HDMI all the time, so I don't really need them as much. But, like, you know, it's nice to have that included. In, you know, just in case you didn't need it or wanted it for some reason, you didn't have a spare any other way. So just kind of a refresher on what that dock is. So the way the Switch works is you have, the way it gets projected onto the television is via this dock. So you put your Switch into the dock, and that's how your game is on the TV. It, like, links an HDMI via an HDMI cord, and then it also has the, like, power component, which is just going to be like a I forgot the word for that, but it's like that ugly, blocky brick charger. And then, you know, you just plug that in, and that's how you can play it when you're playing it in docked mode, aka watching it on the TV. So something that the Eurogamer write-up on this mentioned was, oh, you know, it's $90, like, will that be worth the, you know, what's the point of buying this? And, you know, they point out the convenience, obviously, of if you have a living setup where you have, a bedroom and a living room, and you maybe like have a TV in both of those rooms, and you want to be able to, move from room to room, like TV to TV with your Switch. Now you don't have to like bring the dock over. You can just have another dock there. And they're like, it's more convenient, but is it worth the $90? Like, we'll let the consumers decide. It's kind of how the Eurogamer write-up on that pitched it. And when I first heard about the dock, I was like, oh, why would I need, like, okay, that's freaking dumb, I'm like, whatever. It's just like another dock. Like, who cares? It's not exciting. And then I realized that the reason that I wasn't excited is because I already have access to another dock. So in my household, household of gamers, it's like me, my brother's girlfriend, we're all Switch owners. Me and my brother are sharing a Switch right now, but he's going to get his own in the summertime. So then there'll be 3 Switches in this house because there are like 3 gamers. And the Switch especially is a console that I think really does lend itself well to like the multiple owners, similar to the 3DS, because it has that handheld component. It really makes it so that you want to be able to have, like, at least how I feel about it is like you want to be able to have your own Switch to yourself. We rarely do double ups on consoles unless we feel like we're really into that console. So like we did double down the Xbox One. Like I have one, my brother's girlfriend has one, but the PS4, like I am the only one that has that. No one else really feels a need for it. There's not really a desire to buy it because we already have access to one. So it's kind of done. But honestly, like it sounds really like lazy or bougie to have like multiple systems for the purpose of convenience. So we haven't had that happen yet because everyone owns their console, and their console is primarily in their bedroom. And then if you want to put it to the living room TV, you obviously are welcome to do that. But honestly, like this $90 dock thing is so awesome. I'm going to run through really quick why it's awesome for that multi-gamer household. And honestly, I think the Switch is like in terms of convenience, it's the best console for a multi-gamer household because it's just so easy and quick to make those little transitions and trips. Like, it is a privileged thing. It is a, like, oh, look at all this tech you have. Like, woe is me. Like, my diamond shoes are too tight. So I'm definitely not going to say this is, like, a problem for everybody. But, like, honestly, like, I've straight up thought about getting, like, I do want a 1S, and I mentioned that on here last episode, actually. I've honestly thought about getting a 1S just for my living room TV because, like, carrying the Xbox One from my room to the living room every time I play FIFA with my brother is just, like, really, really annoying. And I know that sounds bougie, but hear me out. It's this big, blocky machine, and now I have to, like, take it out of my, like, whole console stand, TV stand setup, my little IKEA shelf setup that I have. And then not to mention the Xbox One has that big power brick, so I'm dragging that over. Then I gotta bring the controllers over as well. And, like, once again, this is, like, a luxury thing. I'm not saying that, like, it's the worst thing in the world, but it honestly is really annoying. And we play so much FIFA that I'm like, you know what? Like, can we just get one for here? Because, like, I just can't deal with it anymore. I just hate it. That's the whole reason that I even bought, like, I have 2 Xbox One controllers. And I wasn't going to do that originally because we already have, like, since we have another Xbox One, we already have an extra controller, quote unquote. But like, the syncing of the Xbox One controllers is really annoying, especially if there are, like, multiple Xboxes around, because it'll, like, turn on the wrong one, and then it's just a mess. Like, once again, this is, like, a small problem. It's an inconvenience, but the nice thing about the Switch is, like, hey, that's a really affordable way to be able to kind of to do what I'm talking about without having to buy an extra console. Like, buying a second Switch just for your living room is, like, kind of over the top. It's not necessary. And also, the thing about buying an extra system, and that's one reason that, like, I also am not, like, crazy thirsty to get an Xbox One S just for the living room, is because, like, I'm not going to want to play, like, I guess I can put stuff on an external hard drive, and I can work it around that way, but, like, oh, which one am I logged into? There's, like, other issues going on with that, like logging in, logging out, where's the game stored, which thing has what. But with the Switch, you don't have that problem because it's, like, the system itself, like, as far as, like, what the system really is that small little tablet looking thing. Like, it's that handheld, and that's really great, because then I can just, I plop it in. It's just, like, so freaking convenient, like, to just have, like to be able to switch out of the docks, switch out of the dock so easily, because like right now my brother's girlfriend has her Switch set up on the big screen TV. That's like where she's primarily gaming, like that's where she's playing Zelda. And we're like, cool, yeah, you can like use that space, like it's all good. And then, if she's not around, I want to like play on the big screen with my Switch. It's just like a quick switching them out of the dock and it's done. So yeah, it's crazy convenient. $90. I mean, the controllers are $70. Like, and when we're talking about console peripherals, I think the other thing too to consider is that like it's all extra. Like none of those things are needed. Like to an extent, you'll need extra controllers, for depending on how you want to be gaming. But like the Pro controller, you don't need it. But damn, it's nice to have it. Like I got one. I'm like, oh my god. Extra docks, you don't need it. But like, man, it's nice to have one. So I just think this is really, really cool, and I'm pretty excited about it. If I didn't already have basically another Switch dock around, I would definitely do this. But since I do, I don't have to do that. So yeah. So I would just I'm honestly like, I think it's a really cool thing. All right. So continuing on. Another thing that I want to bring up with you guys is I was checking out an article on Kotaku that was about gaming while blind. Like this person actually, well, they're not blind. They weren't born with eyes, so they obviously can't see. And they still game though. And that's like a pretty cool article if you want to check it out. It's called How a Man Born Without Eyes Plays Video Games. Let me pull up actually who wrote that so I can give you guys the author credit on that part. And I was reading through this, and they were just talking about this boy or this man who's named Toby and what his experience is gaming and what games he plays. It's a piece by Luke Plunkett, if I'm saying his name correctly. So Toby Ott, he's 27 right now, and he can play like these different fighting games, and he just does it based on the sound cues, which that stuff is always super cool to me, like just people's ability to do that, like sound-wise, to be able to like move based on those like auditory cues. Like that's crazy to me and super awesome. And something that's really cool lately too, especially with, once again, connecting it back to the Switch, with the Switch coming out in that HD Rumble, and with it having these games where you like don't have to look at the screen. I have not played 1-2 Switch, so I can't actually comment on what those experiences are like or kind of explain like how that's possible or those things. But they have these kind of just different gaming experiences, and they there have been a lot of stories surfacing lately about players who are visually impaired or players who are blind or anything like that being able to enjoy these various games because, being able to not just use the sound cues, but also like the feel of the Rumble and other components that the Switch is really highlighting. Other games can do this as well. I mean, the guy featured in the article, obviously he's not talking about the Switch, he's talking about in specifically like fighting games and what that's like, but I just wanted to highlight that mainly because gaming, there's a documentary that came out like about this guy, and it's like a really short documentary. It's like 15 minutes, so definitely check it out. I haven't gotten to watch it yet actually, but I will watch it after this because I really love documentaries. So it's a short documentary called Gaming Through New Eyes, and it explains like just Toby's experience gaming and like how he's been playing these games for decades, and I'm sure it goes into like other components on like what does gaming mean to you and things like that, kind of just exploring gaming from this specific gamer's perspective. So yeah, I just thought that was like a really cool story, and that you guys might want to be interested in checking that out because, hey, I'm a fan of documentaries, and like short documentary, that's awesome because it's like no excuse not to check it out. You can watch it on YouTube. It's called, once again, Gaming Through New Eyes. So if you just search up Gaming Through New Eyes, it should come up right away. 15 minutes. Check it out. See what you guys think. Share it if you like it. All that good stuff. And something else that, it's just been really interesting seeing all like the different stories emerge. I mean, I know like I didn't include this for this specific episode because I felt like it was just kind of, added details to this idea of gamers who have, different abilities or different disabilities. But like I know recently like another fan or another gamer who's visually impaired like wrote to Nintendo about, I think, playing Rhythm Shock, it might have been. It was like a game like that, and Nintendo wrote back to them and all that. And I think it's just really cool in general too when I'm not saying that like developers need to like, consider literally everyone in their game. Like there are some games that like some people won't be able to play, and that's just like, an unfortunate reality. Like I know I used to follow this one game journalist who had epileptic seizures, and there are some games that she can't play, and she would always talk about like, oh, I'm not like mad at that. I just want to, game developers just need to include warnings in those because like, hey, I can't play this game, and that's fine. But like, you need to let me know that this is in here so I know not to play it because like you're messing people up basically. So I think just always being mindful on that, being open to criticism and feedback on it, and then also maybe just considering it. I mean, I think trying to create games that are accessible to a wide variety of players can also be a source of creativity for someone, I imagine. Like, I haven't actually made a game ever, so I can't comment really on that process. This is kind of speculation. But thinking about, different gamers' perspectives on things, or, like, their ability to, like, engage with your work based on their abilities or disabilities. So this reminds me a lot, too, of there's a game recently, the name escapes me, but it is, like, a puzzle-y game, and it's all based on, like, matching up different, like, colors, but they wanted it to be accessible as well to players who are colorblind, so they also, like, included shapes with the colors, and I think there might be, like, also an auditory cue with that, but I'm not sure. So I think just, like, taking into account that, like, oh, if we're doing color, but, like, what about someone who's, like, colorblind or, like, partially colorblind? Like, how can they still engage with this? Like, and maybe you make it to, like, oh, no, they can't. Like, it needs to be color only. Which is, your own creative decision, and that's fine. But I think it is really cool when people do consider those other options because it just allows for more people to experience your game, and it's really cool. Especially because, like, I'm sure that I imagine it's frustrating to not be able to engage with different content from an art form you like. So, like, if you're a gamer and you're visually impaired or blind, like, I'm sure it sucks not to be able to play, like, all of these games or having to like have a harder time to play games. I think it's really cool the things that the game industry is doing in terms of players with disabilities in general. Like I know there are like ways to, button map specifically for like to accommodate kind of for different disabilities, or there are like, controllers, like different controllers you can get or different controller like attachments and things like that. And I just think that's always really cool to be thinking about those things. I saw that on Xbox Reddit not too long ago. Someone had a modified controller to be able to game. I think to be able to game with one hand. That might be like also a different system. All the things might be melding together. But I really like that I'm seeing a lot of this in the gaming community. Just like accommodations for players with disabilities, or also just like games that happen to lend themselves, whether on purpose or not on purpose, to people that like might not be able to play the game otherwise. Super cool, super exciting. If you guys have been listening, one of, I guess, the running themes is that, I like when people are included in things or can, access things that they normally can't access. That's really cool. Don't know why anyone would ever be against that ever, because that's just always a wonderful thing to me. But yeah, so we're just kind of leaving on a little bit of a happy note. So once again, just a quick reminder that documentary is called Gaming Through New Eyes. I'm definitely gonna check it out. Hopefully it's a good one. And I want to see if I want to end. There's a question. Oh, I got it. Okay, so I actually didn't come up with a question beforehand. I was just kind of like spitballing. So I was trying to see what can we think about before our next episode comes out. And a question I guess I want to ask you guys is, if you come from a like multi-gamer household, how do you kind of deal with it? That's not really I don't like that phrasing because it's kind of negative, but do you share consoles? Do you each buy your own console? How do you deal with managing like the time aspect of it, or like who gets the TV? What are some like maybe really positive stories you have from that, some really negative ones, or just like stories in general, of like, I mean, even now with me having a lot of my own things, because obviously I'm an adult, so a lot of things that I own are solely mine. But even that, like, still sharing it. Like, when I played through Uncharted, like, I ended up doing that completely with my brother, even though, like, we didn't need to do that. Like, we can each play whenever we want. But, like, he started playing, I was already there. We would just share the controller back and forth. So just stories of, sharing game consoles, not sharing game consoles. At what point do you decide to buy an extra one? Have you ever bought like an extra console just for like another room, or maybe like someone else in your family's house, or if they have kids, did you buy an extra one for them because you want to have your own? Anything like that. How do you guys manage, I guess maybe would be a better word, how do you manage living in a multi-gamer household, and how does that impact your purchasing decisions, if at all? Hey, do you buy all your own games, or do you share the games? I know for me, there are some games that I just decided let's just share it because it makes more sense, and there are some games that I'm I need my own copy. For Breath of the Wild, I'm I need my own copy of this game, versus my brother's girlfriend. Me and my brother still share Breath of the Wild, but right now we're sharing everything, obviously, because we don't have our own technical Switch. But I know when Splatoon 2 comes out, I'm I want my own copy of that game because I know I'm going to be playing it a lot, and I don't want to have to bother you about it. But for other games like Binding of Isaac, we have, I'm I don't think I need my own copy of that. Doesn't matter, we can just share that. So yeah, what drives that as well? So if you guys have any stories on that, opinions on it, feelings, thoughts, questions, concerns, definitely let me know. You can let me know by either leaving a comment on this podcast, or you can reach out to me on social media. I am on Instagram and Twitter under the handle Gameonysus. That is Gameonysus, GameOnysus. So definitely hit me up. Let me know what your answers are to those questions, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.